Greetings. My name is David Hunsaker. I am presenting on the PowerSchool Data Breach. I chose this topic because I work in schools. I've been a teacher for 12 years and a technology director at a K-12 public charter school for the last 5 years. And so my school was involved in this breach. Initially, I wanted to pick the paper cut data breach, but that was just outside the time limits. So at the PowerSchool Data Breach. So my name is David Hunsaker, and my GitHub name is DavidH828. My edX name is just DavidH, and I'm recording this today on July 10th, 2025. So, if you're not familiar with PowerSchool, it is a provider of K-12 education technology solutions. It's known as a SIS, a Student Information System. It's widely used internationally. The facts I found were 45 million students across 80 countries. And there's SIS and there's some other tools involved that my school didn't use. It has some learning management assessment tools, some other packages that I'm not familiar with. We only use the student information program. But fortunately, I always hated PowerSchool. I thought it was a bad system, and my state selected Infinite Campus last year, and we're on that program now. So not that is really relevant here. Because the cybersecurity incident, when it happened, it pulled data from the last 40 years. So even though we weren't connected to the system anymore, our data was still part of that breach. Anyway, so the cybersecurity incident was discovered on December 28th, 2024. Well, it was announced, and then they saw evidence of intrusion back to December 19th of 2024. I was first informed in March of 2025 that the incident happened, and when that came out, we weren't initially clear on what information was stolen or the extent of the hack, but through the course of a couple days and tons of emails and updates from our Department of Public Instruction, we realized, and eventually we got a spreadsheet that showed number of files that were taken and things that may have been included in those files. It did include some staff social security numbers, none for students for our school, but there were social security numbers as well as other personally identifiable information in the hack. After the initial response, PowerSchool did pay a ransom, and supposedly it was confirmed that data was destroyed. In May of 2025, a threat actor that was presumed to be the original threat actor sent emails to several districts. That was a typo there, sorry, and asked for a Bitcoin payment within 72 hours of the email. As I was working on this project, and I started working on this before May 20th, but then on May 20th, I later found that a 19-year-old college student, Matthew Lane, from New England, pled guilty to hacking two companies that were extorted for ransom. One of the companies in that was PowerSchool, the other was a telecom company, but it didn't say which one it was. So there's that. It impacted, the scope of the breach impacted districts across multiple states. Current and former students, like I said, the data went back up to 40 years, and have impacted a whole boatload of school districts and states in US and Canada. You see over 72 million individuals may have been impacted, and I already covered that. All right. Initially, PowerSchool launched an investigation, engaged third-party cybersecurity experts, notified affected individuals, although, I don't know when they officially contacted my state. I know that I didn't hear much of anything until mid-March, maybe March 6th was the first email we got from them, from our DPI, but they'd worked through the issues with PowerSchool, and they set up the Experian activity monitoring for all students and staff who they were able to contact for identity theft monitoring protection. Once they realized what happened, they deactivated credentials that that was the root of the compromise, which in retrospect, and I think I'd say this later on, but I already realize I'm probably not going to get to all my slides in 10 minutes. But in retrospect, the hack was, from my understanding, relatively simple, in that the hacker gained access through a unclosed account that was part of a system for a backdoor into the system. There was another gateway into PowerSchool that didn't have MFA on it, that should have been closed previously, that wasn't. And so when they realized the hack happened, they deactivated accounts that should have been previously deactivated and reset passwords and set up MFA on their accounts, which is, as we discussed, a best practice for any accounts that are subject to intrusion, or especially those that have sensitive data, which clearly this had access to sensitive data. So like I said just a second ago, they offered identity protection services and credit monitoring and ongoing monitoring. So I signed up for the 1-year Experian identity protection monitoring service, but they offer that for all impacted individuals. And like I said, it was compromised credentials on an account. The account did not have MFA, which is terrible choosing on their behalf. Having worked in a school, and when I first took this role in 2019, there was not a technology director. It was the middle school principal who was kind of covering that. And so I've made some implementations that staff didn't really like, but I've tried to always be clear on the reasoning why. And MFA is a necessary thing. Teachers don't always love it because of the difficulty of signing in, and it takes an extra couple minutes sometimes. But I think I've got them all on my side by this point, in that it's protecting them and their students, and identity protection is pretty important stuff, and that PII is important to protect as well. And schools are now the largest threat vector for phishing attacks, whereas 10 years ago it wasn't really a concern. And I think that's what's happened is that it wasn't a concern, and now we're scrambling to keep up with industry standards that because we were a soft target. If there was MFA, clearly the breach could have been prevented, unless the person had captured through malware the code, and as we discussed in one of the meetings. But that wasn't the way the person got the access to begin with. They weren't. It wasn't clear how they got the information, but it wasn't through capturing a transaction, because the account had been inactive for a long time, it seemed. But somehow they got the credentials, maybe through social engineering, is what I saw. So stuff that was compromised: dates of birth, student ID numbers, some social security numbers, some health information, and they use the compromised credentials of a technical support subcontractor. We also discussed some of these meetings running together in my head. I think it was a DPI meeting, not one of our class meetings, about third-party access and how it should be limited as much as possible, which again creates more work sometimes to allow access when it's needed, as opposed to just allowing access all the time. But it is best practice to only allow access as needed, not have those ports or those gateways always open, because open doors lead to unwanted guests. So Yeah, so there's possible human error. It wasn't clear how the person got access to the exploited credentials, but possible human error. Um, PowerSchool took systems offline. They patched vulnerabilities, enhanced monitoring, and again, set up MFA and reset passwords and closed accounts that should have been closed. Other security enhancements that should have taken place or may have taken place, additional encryption and access controls, and MFA is one of those access controls, but other encryption into systems, regular audits, and I think that's in pen testing is something we discussed and something that I've been trying to figure out how to do myself for my school as a technology department of one. Auditing and tabletop exercises aren't something I've been able to do yet, but I understand the importance, and I'm trying to figure out how to make that happen for my instance. Employee training on cybersecurity best practices. It didn't seem like PowerSchool had done that, and that's, if you care about your data, you should train all your employees. I think it's 96% of, oh crap, I'm over time. 96% of cybersecurity incidents are based on because of or due to human error, and when you train your employees, that number should become nominal. I'm out of time, so I'm just going to move quickly. So obviously, it impacted the individuals who were part of the data theft. I'm not sure how it's going to impact PowerSchool, but obviously there's some lawsuits that will probably be pending. Other companies in the industry obviously see this and should reflect upon what went wrong and how they can do better. Student data privacy is a huge concern. Again, trying to harden all our systems and not make schools be such a soft target. And school districts need to, I think, with a strong Department of Public Instruction, which North Carolina has, need to work harder with some of these companies to make sure they're protecting our data, because that is so vitally important to our people. And, so I may have developed too many slides. They did pay ransom, but apparently, and it was in one article did say that the data was destroyed, but again, 3 months later, allegedly the same threat actors came back asking for ransom from companies again or schools again. So this one I'm gonna, I guess, go to I did a list of references that wasn't asked for, but I did put a list of references, and I used Brisk, which is a educational AI tool that my school has a subscription to that doesn't take any student data, which is why I like it. So they don't they're less subject to a hack because they don't take student data. But it helped me create this presentation, and I feel like I should give credit to that as well. And that was other stuff that I should have leave at the end. All right, so I'm going to stop now because I'm well over time. Thank you for your time. Hope presentation wasn't total garbage. I tried to move as fast as I could, but I enjoyed the course. Thanks, guys. And